Tristan Kumar's Dying Planet, narrated by Tristan Kumar. Part 8. You Can't Trust. I saw the red blob slide its way to the closest vent inside the ship. I ran toward it and dived down to grab it, but it was too late. It slid in and now was roaming around the ship somewhere. Suddenly, the door to the Thanatos closed and ejected off into space. We all ran up to it, shocked and questioning why it left. A pre-recorded message played over the intercom of the ship. Great! It was the late President Jones. I glanced at Sylvie. You've made it! We've ejected you from the Thanatos because you should all be perfectly fine now. Good luck! And God but shocked through a rock from the ground into the speaker. He stormed off, and Sky ran after him. Knight saw Lectos leaving and ran to him. They started to look for stuff, trying to survive. I sat there on the grounds, and then Sylvie walked off after, staring at the speaker. I rested my head back and closed my eyes in frustration. Every time, I thought. Every time we're so close. The universe just spits back into our faces and wants us to die. I gathered my energy finally and stood up. I walked around and found some others looking to salvage. They were at least talking to each other and getting along, so that was a start. I went into an empty room and looked around. There was a bunk bed and a desk. On the desk, there were some papers. Since we hadn't figured out our light situation, I found a battery-powered lamp and turned it on. It was barely gonna survive, but it was something rather than nothing. I was genuinely surprised by what I found in the room. There were so many sticky notes. First of all, one of them each was the frames for Earth exploding, different angles of it, different views. I moved them aside, and it showed the sun on a bigger piece of paper, with small, unreadable handwritten notes on the side. But on the top of the page, there were the words, Maledictio Diaboli. I ripped out the title and kept it in my pocket, just in case. Besides, that was a blueprint for a mechanical arm of some sort. The center of it showed a power source of some kind that seemed to be very powerful. I turned off the lights and went to the bed. I sat down and ran my hands against my face. I could hear someone say, Don't give up. You're almost to the end. And I sat up and looked around in fear. But there was no one. I stood up and went to the desk, too tired to sleep now. I put my hands to lean on the desk and leaned my head back. I think that when Sylvie said that we had some time left to live, she must have been lying. We had some monster lurking around on the ship and a broken crew of kids. Was there any slim chance of surviving? Not that I knew of. I thought to myself for some time. I lost my grip on the desk and fell. I cursed under my breath. Even though I was mad, it would not be for long. I turned to look under the desk and found a false wall, which was a door. It seemed like a vent. I opened it and looked around. There was a reddish tint, and it seemed very eerie, but I wanted to know what was happening here before we came. It couldn't just be the explosion, or just the school bombing. I knew that. I climbed in, and the wind blew shut the door behind me, hopefully not locking it. When I came into space, honestly, I didn't expect to be crawling around through a vent of a spaceship. But here I was. Dusty vents, very not pleasurable, if I say so myself. After turning around many corners for a while in this labyrinth, I found a fork in the road. One way glowed white at the end, and a sign next to the entrance said, Engine. But the other one to the left was darkly lit, and at the end, the sign was scratched out. The only thing I could make out was the sound, Tess. I heard a slithering behind me. I saw a small tentacle reach around. I gasped. I spun around and went through one vent. I looked at the end after looking back inside. I picked the mystery option, Tess. I quickly went through the vent, switched something on my tail. I found an opening and burst through the vent. I fell a couple of feet onto a cold floor. I crawled away, then stood up. I looked at the vents, but there was nothing anymore. I turned around and found something I can still say I question now. In the hallway, one light from above spread throughout the room. In the room, there was a matte black color to it, and on the right, there were control panels next to many windows. The windows were tinted. I went up to the window and tried to look into it. I immediately stepped back. It smelled super terrible. I ignored it and continued my trek through the hall. There were more of these windows. I finally lost the sink and, holding my breath, went closer and looked through the window. Based on the decor of a bench acting as a bed next to a sink, it looked like a cell, but why would the ISS need a prison or something? I stepped back and fell to the ground. I realized it. The sign wasn't just test, it was test. This wasn't the ISS I knew. There was something more sinister going on here than we thought. At the thought of that, my head dropped as I fell into another dream when I passed out. Suddenly, I awoke in an office. It looked like I'd be on Earth. There were very mundane, moldy walls with a slow ceiling fan spinning above me. Inside the office, there was a chair facing out of the window with the blinds down. "Excuse me? Where am I?" I asked, thinking that there was someone in the chair. To my surprise, there was. "Oh," the chair turned to face me. "You know exactly where we are, right?" It was Oscar, the boy who died but's back from the dead again. I stepped up to him and punched him right in the face. He moved his head back. "Understandable. Last time you saw me, I almost killed you," he said as he returned his head to face me. "Almost killed me? Oh, you basically did! And you died too! Who are you? How are you here?" I yelled at him, taken back slightly from his calm manner. "Oh God, Rye." He stood up from behind the desk. "How many times do I have to explain? My name's Oscar. We're in an office. Is it that hard to understand?" he explained. Yes it is! You died in my arms. I held your limp dead body in my arms and cried over you, and you end up here acting like you never died. So what on earth am I supposed to believe now?" We both stood looking at each other for a moment. He shrugged and left to get some water. He grabbed the cup and filled his drink. He drank it in one gulp. "Well, I don't care what you believe. I never told you to believe anything. Hell, I let you do all the talking. And you're yelling at me? A dead person?" he said, getting a little paranoid now. "Don't ask me, but I'll ask you this," I said. "Go on." I pulled the paper from out of my pocket and showed him the words I found in the bedroom. "Maledictio diaboli." "What does this mean?" I said as I shoved it into his hands. He looked at me, then squinted. He looked at me once more, and he was suddenly nervous. "Well, I don't know," he stuttered. "Shut up! You do! You're nervous! Spit it out, Oscar!" I glared at him. Well, it's Latin, and it means... Oh, Lord," he ended in fear. "What?" I yelled, and he jumped back. "It means curse of the devil," he blurted out quickly. "What?" I said in shock. "The devil? What is this?" "Oh, you think I know," Oscar said as he slowly started to clench the cup in his hand, squeezing all the water out of it. My eyes widened as I backed up in fear. "Okay, fine. How about I show you?" he said. He dropped the cup and shoved his hand on my forehead. I was flung back into the darkness, and out of the darkness, Oscar walked out. He was dragging something. "Is this truly what you want?" he yelled as he held up the dead body of Sylvie. I gasped back. "What did you do?" I screamed, but he faded away. I woke up back in the hallway. Sylvie was shaking me awake along with the others. They all stepped away from me and I jumped up. Oh my God. How long was I out?" I asked. "We think for an hour. We just found you here. How did you get here?" Sylvie said. Instead of telling the truth, I lied. "I found a door, and Sylvie, I need to talk. Now, alone with you," I said. They all backed up as she walked with me away from the group. I looked at her in her eyes. "I need help," I said. "What happened?" she responded. "When I was knocked out, I saw someone, but he died on Earth. He said that there was a curse of the devil on the ship, and then you were there and... I stuttered. "What?" she explained. Some others looked over. I shushed her down. "I don't know. I just want to make sure that you're okay," I said. Don't worry about me. I'll be just fine," she smiled. I smiled back, and I walked back through the hallway to recount what just happened. I was walking down, but suddenly there was this tension and thickness in the air. Chills ran down my spine. I continued forward, and it got stronger. I looked around, but then I looked down. I ran to it, the blood on the ground. I just realized that there was so many blood spots along the ground. Now I understood the testing process here, and I started to walk back. And suddenly, a figure approached me. "Hello?" I said. They walked towards me with their hands behind their back. Then, the unbelievable happened. With a blood spot on his back and front and slightly limping, he looked at me with a big smile. "Hello, Rye," he said as Oscar's dead eyes looked right through me. This episode was recorded by Tristan Kumar. If you enjoyed this, check out the next part, and it is the penultimate part for the first book. And anyway, thank you for listening.